I'm Vanessa Louise. Welcome to Choose You, Choose Bliss, where we believe in one goal, one purpose, love. Through shared experiences, we aim to enlighten, enrich, and enroll you in actively applying the tools and techniques to enable and continue healing for your whole self. Now is the time to take back our power, reconnect with our true selves, each other, including the world around us, and live life with confidence, purpose, and joy. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing you. So hi, here we are, after many, many years in the making, 50 years actually to be exact, a multitude of sleepless nights agonizing over my purpose in life and which path to take, and a myriad of reasons and those dreaded excuses why sharing my voice, my learnings, my heart was a really, really bad idea. Who am I? What would I say? And I suppose if I did know who I am and what to say, then actually who would even listen? So taking a tipple of my own tonic, I told myself, now is the time, Vanessa, to find your voice, show your face, and be the light. The light that you need, Vanessa. The light that others need. The light this world needs. Because if you actually truly believed what you believe, in that each and every one of us, just as nature intended, are this world's greatest gift, then why aren't you showing up, just as you are, and sharing your gift? They say, don't they, you teach what you need the most. So you could argue that this podcast is for me, and you'd be right in thinking that. However, I do believe we are all connected. We are all one. So I wonder if this podcast is for all of us. I wonder if what has helped me heal, what has been a profound part of my healing journey and still helps me today to heal and navigate the bumpy terrain we know as life, and will continue to help me feel better and at peace, a place that I call bliss. Then I wonder if it may actually possibly help you too. Today's episode, I will share my heart with you, and in following episodes, we'll hear from other wise and wonderful hearts and the learnings from their stories. So where did this actually all start for me? When I was asked in a career session what I wanted to do when I left school, all I wanted to do ever since I was a little girl was to help people feel better about themselves. Why? Why was that so important to me? And in asking myself that question, it came to me. Because I hated myself. Wow. That realization shocked me and challenged me, as I had and still have two utterly amazing, supportive parents who love each other dearly and have been the most exquisite example for me and my beautiful younger sister. She's simply phenomenal, and we are and have always been so close. So I left school knowing all I wanted to do was to help people feel better about themselves. I struggled at school myself. Being dyslexic, it definitely wasn't the place for me to learn. Life is where I learn my lessons. I don't know about you. But I left school knowing I was going to a beauty therapy college, and I got into cosmetics and beauty therapy because I really loved helping people feel better about the skin that they were in, the bodies that they have been given. And I travelled on the ships, on the cruise liners for about a year in the Caribbean. As hard work as it sounds, it was. And I learnt that I didn't want to spend my days in a salon with twinkling music, with little conversation. True connection with my clients, yes. But I wanted to embark on a career, and I wanted to make more of who I was as a person, and I wanted to spend more time working and connecting with people on a deeper level. Spend more time communicating with people while helping them feel better. So I naturally went into TV and film makeup using the skills that I had learnt. And it wasn't until I recognised that I would have repeat people sitting in my chair, and I had a long queue of people waiting for me to make them up before they went on to the film set or in front of the camera. And I asked this one chap sat in my chair, why do you keep picking my chair when I could see that other chairs were empty? And he said to me, because you help me feel calm. I feel centered before I go on camera. And in that moment, not only was I shocked by my question, being a shy person, I realized that actually there was something in holding space for people, but only on self-reflection did I realize that that was the part of my work that I really, really enjoyed. He continued to say, of all the places where I feel calmest, your makeup chair is the place. There's something about your energy that allows me to be still, and I can compose myself ready for the camera. Wow. So therefore, that was where then I met a lady on film set who introduced me then to a company, Mary Kay Cosmetics, where we help women look after their skin and apply makeup. To my surprise, many, many women have never been shown how to care for their skin and how to apply makeup. I was blessed with my mum. She knew what she was doing, and she always taught my sister and I, if there's any 3 things you spend your money on, it is skincare, hair care and heels. Thanks, Mum. Great lessons learnt from you. Some of the very many, for sure. But I loved sitting with women, helping them care for the skin that they were in, the bodies that they were given, and helping them feel better from the outside. I built a hugely successful business with Mary Kay, and I became #1 consultant for about 5 years, top director in the business, and I loved my work. I learned how to present, I learned how to speak, I learned how to train, I learned how to truly connect with women. But my favourite thing about working with this phenomenal company was learning how to help individuals see themselves for who they truly are. My world began to fall apart, and there were many times that I prayed for a miracle. Do you know, and are you familiar with that place that you are so fearful of going, that bleak despair place? I believe so many of us hit this place often, too often, without truly knowing how we get there and how to help ourselves out of it. And in 2008, I had a prayer of mine that I believe was answered. In that moment, it completely shifted my perspective on life, how I viewed myself, how I viewed others, and how I viewed the world around me. And I vowed in that very moment, after spending years of crying myself to sleep, when I felt the weight lift from my shoulders, I promised myself that I would spend my days understanding how the answer to this prayer had come about. So I spent my day studying more about energy and what I have come to understand, and I call in my work as an emotional health coach, the power of love. There is a force, there is a vibration, there is a frequency that orchestrates everything in the universe. And I call that power the power of love. It's the energy that turns the world, grows the grass, and beats our hearts. Every single one of us living and breathing has this power living within us. And I spent my days understanding how to access that power. In 2014, I found myself walking away from my life with my 2 teenage children, young teenage children. I had lost myself. I'd lost who I was. I didn't know who I was. I'd spent too many times feeling that utter despair, that what's the point of me actually being here? Many, many questions that I didn't find answers to. I knew how to be positive when you're a mother and you have 2 children that rely on you, and you have a business and you have friends that you enjoy spending time with and beautiful family. I knew how to be positive, but I didn't know how to be true to me. I didn't even know who I was. And it was around this time that I understood what bliss was to me and where naked was born. The naked philosophy that I use within my work was born in this moment. So today, what I would like to share with you is bliss. What is bliss? It being that place that we all have within us. It's an innate peace place within us that I call bliss. I want to share more with you a little bit about naked, being the pathway to bliss, being emotionally naked and what that means to me and how that is the pathway to bliss. I also want to share with you a concept and the premise to my work that I have labelled the human prism principle. And I also want to share with you a little bit more about the very thing, and I call it a thing because it has no form. The very thing, the power of love, that is the only thing, the only power that will ever help us truly heal and transform, transcend our pain and make any change if we learn how to access this power that lives within us. So what is bliss? Bliss, if you look in the dictionary, has the meaning or the definition of perfect happiness and great joy. Now, I don't know about you, but isn't that the place? Isn't that the thing that we're all seeking? What do we spend our days looking for, working so hard for, compromising, sacrificing so much of ourselves for? The problem is we spend our days and our time and our energy and our resources and our money looking for that outside of us. That bliss place for me is inside. And I got to this place, and I got to bliss being the word that I wanted to work with to help us all understand more about ourselves. Because there were times in my life where I would just say to myself, bliss. You know those moments where time stops, where you lose yourself? We all have those moments, and they are unique and different for all of us. Bliss. Bliss is the precious present moment. Imagine, if you will, a line that I have called the line of life, travelling from west to east. We're talking about a horizontal line, and the left side of that line is the moment we're born. The right-hand side, the east side of that line, is the moment we die. And we travel along the line of life through something and a concept we know as time. That is a linear line. Now imagine, if you will, a line travelling from north to south. I call that line the line of love. There is no concept of time in the line of love. Now imagine, if you will, the horizontal and the vertical lines crossing in a cross shape, and the place and the point that they meet is what I call the precious present moment. That's our sweet spot. That's our bliss place. That's the place where time stands still. It's the only time we ever have. Left, the west of the line, is the past. The right, the east of the line, is the future. Both are an inability to be present. And if you imagine the only place that you can feel presence in this moment is via your heart. We access the point of power. We access the present moment through our hearts. So now we might logically understand what bliss is, how we might get there by being present. But what stops us from getting to that place, being in that place, feeling present? And this is where I understood when Naked was born. I'll share a very quick story with you, if I may. For as long as I can remember, ever since I was a little girl, I would have what I would call my naked dream. This naked dream would have me, and I dreamt it a lot. It haunted me for many years because I would be caught in my local high street. Had to be my local high street, right? With everybody I knew, caught with no clothes on. Now, this was in my dream. Now, I thought it was because I had body confidence issues. I'd always struggled with my weight growing up. I was athletic. I loved my sports, thank God. So I was fairly trim, but I really struggled with two things growing up, which is one of the reasons I hated myself, was a pot belly and a big long frown on my face. So I thought this dream was just to torment me and remind me that I had body confidence issues and I didn't like my body, and it was a constant struggle to just feel comfortable in my body that had a pot belly and a big long frown on my face. Hence, when I left my life and I lost 6 stone after having my second child, I was rebuilding myself and my life, my business, my family, and I still kept having this dream. And I remember waking up one morning saying to myself, come on, why am I still having this dream when I feel fabulous? I've lost this weight, I feel great, I've got a new lease for life. I'm taking action on the vision of the life I want to live. And why am I still having this dream? And it came to me in a meditation. Because you are scared shitless of showing up as your true self. Boom. That hit me like a sledgehammer. Fear of showing up as my true self, my naked self. You're right, if everybody could see everything about me, absolutely no way. However happy or confident we might be, there is always stuff, right, that we don't want people to know. And here's the catch, here's the caveat, here's the annoying thing. Some of that stuff we don't even know. Okay, so if I'm fearful of showing up as my true self, who is that anyway? So I spent the best part of a year trying to understand what it was that was keeping me from being my true self. What I did know is it had something to do with being naked, right? So I'm sure I'll share with you in later episodes more in depth about the naked philosophy, but here's what I've surmised it to be. There are 4 pillars to the naked philosophy that I have come to understand to be true for me, and I wonder if they resonate with you. Number 1, physically strong. When my body is physically strong, when I know how to nourish my body, nurture my body, and condition my body truly, then my body feels physically strong. Number 2, when I'm mentally sound, when I am aware of my thoughts, consciously or unconsciously. If my mental health is sound, if my mental wellness is sound, because our mental health is what we think, our emotional health is what we feel. If I can be mentally sound, if I am more in control of what I think, if I am going to feed my mind with beautiful thoughts, then I can feel mentally sound. Number 3, emotionally expressive. If I know how I truly feel, then I can express that, right? But if I don't know how I feel, I can't express that. And then my emotions will get the better of me. They will express themselves without my consent. And that's not okay, not in my world. And that is what I believe we all, let me just say maybe some of us, most of us struggle with, is actually expressing our emotions because we don't actually know what it is we feel. So to be emotionally expressive, I have to have a high EQ. My emotional intelligence, I have to know what I'm feeling, how to regulate those emotions. And our emotions are only energy in motion. And the problem is that energy is not often in motion, it's blocked. That energy is not often in motion. A lot of the time it's blocked, which is what causes us emotional pain, physical pain, and mental pain. And number 4, spiritually connected. If I am in alignment with that power of love, some call it universal force, other people call it infinite intelligence, some people call it Fred, George, God, electricity, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't have a label because it's an invisible force. But if we are in alignment with that force, that is, for me, being spiritually connected. So naked is physically strong, mentally sound, emotionally expressive, and spiritually connected. And as a result of these 4 pillars, I have created for myself, mainly because I was asked. Once I'd started stepping out into the business world, I had people asking me, how did you turn your life around? I said, I don't really know. I just made a different choice, like prayed for a miracle and it just sort of happened. Well, what did you pray for? How did it change? Like, what steps did you take? I was like, I don't know. I just made a different choice until one lady said to me, how do you do what you do with effortless grace and a smile on your face? Wow. If that was not the finest compliment I had ever received, I don't know what is. That grounded me. And I said, wow. She said, please work it out so you can help me do the same. And that is why I spent so much of my time, my spare time, my energy, understanding, which is where I came up with bliss. Going deeper, which is where I came up with naked. Now I have this pathway to bliss, naked being the pathway to bliss. It's like a 13-step program that I continually take myself through, laden with tips, tools, and techniques that I use every single day for myself in some measure and some form. And now that has become my work as an emotional health coach. I no longer am in the cosmetics world. That served me beautifully for 25, nearly 30 years. Now my passion, my life, I am devoted to helping people become naked so they can live their life knowing how to choose bliss. So who am I and what qualifies me? Well, I'd like to think that maybe I've shared just a little bit about myself with you and explained a bit about what qualifies me. But as we learn more about our stories and the more we share with other hearts, we will fully appreciate that the only thing that truly qualifies us is actually lived experience. I don't know about you, but I have spent many years, 50, in the University of LIFE. That is what qualifies me. My lived experience, my self-reflection, so that I know from my own experience I am where I am because of the choices I've made and the choices I've allowed others to make for me, and the difference between the two, and how to take responsibility for myself. And because of that, I now have people asking me to help them do the same. So my role in my work is to enable and to empower others, including myself, to strengthen their connection with their true self and to build that and strengthen that communication with their inner self. It's constantly talking to us. Our inner voice, our inner intuition, our inner guidance system is constantly talking to us. But it's a whisper. It's a whisper in our hearts. And sadly, the noise in our heads from the constant chatter from our ego and the noise from our fearful world outside drowns out the whisper. My work is holding this space for us to return to love, knowing how to work and live from our hearts, allowing love to lead rather than from our heads. My role is to make myself obsolete. Everybody I work with, my main goal is that I'll hold your hand and I'll work and I'll walk with you until you don't need me. A little bit like the stabilizers on a bike. And riding free, we can ride free together. I remember coming to a conclusion when I questioned for myself why, kind of how am I going to get along in life and how am I going to make a business out of all of this, and actually really, why do I do what I do, apart from the obvious of having 2 amazing children and a life that is calling me to live it fully. My main why came when my youngest son sent me a video. He was about 13 at the time. He sent me a video along with a broken heart and a cryy face. And this video was, at the time, apparently the fashion, however horrific that might have been, for groups of youngsters around Jodie's age, 13, 14 at the time, small groups of people and friends to go out together, pick on one of the group. And this video had the group picking on this one lad, tripping him up, kicking to the ground and beating him senseless, and kept kicking him even when he wasn't moving. I fell to the ground and I sobbed. I was so taken aback by my reaction. It hit me. My heart literally broke in that moment. I had to ask myself why. How is it okay that other people can harm and hurt other people like that? Is one thing. Videoing it and laughing about it and joining in is another, and posting it on social, it's just simply not acceptable. Not in my world. And I don't want to live in a world where people are hurting so badly that they feel the need to hurt another. That poor lad's mum had no idea what was going on. That poor lad had nobody there to defend him and to stick up for him. God knows what happened to that young lad. But I knew in that moment that that was the reason I do what I do. Hurt people, and I do not want to live in that world anymore. I want to live in a world where loving people love people. I want us to remember who we truly are. And becoming naked is how we do that. The language that we use around this work of becoming naked, by being true to ourselves, by understanding who we truly are, by strengthening our relationships and our purpose in the world, is key. So we are going to do our best to demystify the jargon. We are going to take the complicated and make it simple, because it's not complicated. It's become complicated. It's become complex, and it's simply not. So many of us doubt ourselves because we don't know who we truly are. We have learnt to believe those bullshit stories that keep our heads full of noise and chaos and unloveliness, that will always keep us from living in the strength and the beauty and the love in our hearts. This work is about shifting your perspective from fear to love, from spending less time in your head and more time in your heart. Can you imagine our world if more of us knew how to do that? I also have a belief that every single one of us is a beautiful paradox. We are everything and nothing. We are a physical being, but this physical being is nothing without the invisible part of us. It's like we're plugged into some electricity source somewhere, and we all know that when that power source is no longer beating our hearts, we're not here. What is that energy? Where does it go? How does it sustain our very existence? And what happens to our bodies when we're no longer here? I called this the human prism principle as it came to me. Again, after another question to my higher power, I was given a physical example. And I will pop a link to the show notes to this 10-minute video where I explain it more succinctly. But in summary, when we do not allow the power of love to flow to and through us, which is how we're designed to be, we are blocking the very force and the very power that fuels us and empowers us. We are going to feel unlovely, depressed, anxious, tired, angry, volatile, guilty, shameful, bored, apathetic. We all know what that feels like. Bleh. And when we block that power with our made-up stories in our head, the mask, the facade that we all wear, it's all part of being a human being. We cannot have an egoectomy, but we can turn down the volume of that story that keeps us distracted in our heads and learn how to live in our hearts. And the human prism principle helps us understand that only when we allow that power of love to flow to and through us will we first feel fulfilled, second understand our purpose, and 3 know how to show up in our world with confidence, purpose and joy. My vision for my life, some have said, is a tad audacious, but I can't help it. It's what I feel in my heart. My vision is one goal, one purpose, love. That's it. I want to live in a world where love is the guiding force in every aspect of our lives. However, I do believe that there are 3 pandemics killing off the human spirit, killing off the human race. We are all familiar with these pandemics. Number 1, poor health. Whether you are somebody who suffers from swollen knees, bad headaches, dodgy backs, some of the more everyday type of symptoms, or whether you are somebody who is struggling with a chronic illness or disease, or perhaps even a fatal disease, we all know firsthand that poor health is an issue. Secondly, violence. Whether you are aware of the wars going on in the world, aware of the horrific violence that people impart on each other, whether you are at war with yourself or even your nearest and dearest, we've all experienced violent and angry behaviour at some time in our lives. And thirdly, addiction. Addiction is prevalent, and it is a big struggle for so many people. And I'm not just talking about alcohol and hard drugs. They're the obvious addictions, right? I'm on about addiction to paracetamol. I'm on about it's 6 o'clock, is that wine o'clock? I'm on about too much cake. I'm on about emails, busyness, the gym, sex, rock and roll, you name it. There are so many things that we are dependent on, including people. Codependency is a big problem. All of these things are outside of us. We are looking outside of us to fill a void inside of us. That's my definition of addiction. Having lived through it firsthand, addiction is freaking horrific. It's soul destroying, literally soul destroying. It's not necessary, and there is a way out. The way out is in. So with these 3 pandemics killing off the human spirit of poor health, violence and addiction, don't you think now is the time for us to take responsibility for ourselves? Because I don't know about you, I used to be, oh my gosh, a champion moaner, groaner, blamer, complainer, whatever you want to call it, where I would point my finger. My life is shit because of this, that and the other. Pointing the finger outside of me until one day, as I was doing this, I recognised there was 3 fingers pointing back at me. The problem is not outside of us. The problem is the fact that we think there is a problem, but the problem is inside of us. Let's take responsibility for ourselves, our whole selves, by coming back to love. We do have the power to create change. That power is beating our hearts. That power is the power of love. I did just want to share with you, if I may, my 6 guiding principles, values, if you will, that I live my life by. Number 1 is the power of love. Love is my top value. Love is the purest vibration and the intelligence that turns the world, grows the grass and beats our hearts. It is the fundamental force that orchestrates absolutely everything in the universe. Whether we understand it or not, we know this to be true, transcending all pain and revealing our true essence. At the very core of all of us, we are beings of love, guided by this profound and transformative energy. Number 2, vulnerability. Vulnerability is our greatest blocks at human beings, my lovelies. The strength of vulnerability. Vulnerability is the willingness to love and to be open and receptive to your thoughts and feelings in any given moment, regardless of the response that you will meet with from others or the outside world. It's about embracing that truest part of you, acknowledging your emotions and allowing them to be seen without fear or judgment. It takes work, but it's possible. As the saying goes, if it works for me, it can work for all of us. This openness, though, is a powerful act of courage and authenticity, fostering deeper connections, first with self and then with genuine relationships with others. Number 3, kindness. Kindness, 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 the magic of kindness. Kindness is magic, I believe Ricky Gervais once said. I believe in all the work I've done that kindness is like love's little sister and serves as a beautiful demonstration of our innate intent to love. Acts of kindness, no matter how small, reflect our capacity for compassion and empathy, creating ripples of positivity and connection in the world around us. By embracing kindness, we express the purest form of human goodness. We express the purest form of human goodness and nurture the bonds that unite us. Number 4, fun. Fun. The importance of fun. If it ain't fun, don't do it, is a saying we have in our family. Fun helps us to relax, right, into our soul's purpose, aligning us with the reason we are here. Engaging in activities that bring joy and laughter not only rejuvenates our spirits, but also fosters creativity and connection. We believe this to be true, right? Fun is a vital aspect of a fulfilling life, guiding us to live authentically and embrace our true passions. Number 5, community. Who are we without our people? The power of community. Community is the result of unity achieved through open and honest communication. Communication. On so many levels, we communicate. When our goal and vision are centered on connection in the vibration of love, we become one and transform into a powerful, collaborative force. This unity fosters a sense of belonging, support, and collective strength, enabling us to achieve greater things together than we could ever do alone. Through love and transparency, we build a foundation for a thriving and resilient community. And the final one, and possibly the main reason that we are here, is to contribute. How can we be of service? The gift of contribution. Contribution is about giving of our truest self. But by being naked, we know what that is, right? Which is our greatest gift to the world. When we receive from that power of love, it's only natural that we want to share that which we have received. When you feel good, you do good. You love good. You say good, right? By contributing authentically, we enrich the lives of others and create a positive impact, fostering a cycle of love and generosity that benefits everyone. A lofty dream, or is it? So a bit of a whistle-stop tour as to how I've got to where I've got to and why I do what I do, and why I wanted to pop it in a podcast. Couple of reasons. A, because it scares me. Believe it or not, I hated my voice growing up, which is why I probably didn't say very much. I didn't like my voice. Didn't like it. However, I have learnt to speak and I have learnt to share, and I have come to understand, appreciate and accept that God made me the way he made me. Who am I to argue? I also wanted to create a space for us to come together and to learn, to share, but mainly to self-reflect. Now is the time to take ownership of your gift being who you truly are, and to understand how to share that. This podcast will also bring you the stories, the sharings and the learnings of some of the most remarkable people that I've ever come across. I am always open to having conversations with people who have something to share. I have lined up for you some of the most wise and wonderful souls that have touched my life beyond measure. And if you will allow me to, I will gladly share them with you. This is also a space for you. As a speaker, I often say, don't just listen to the words that I say. Don't listen to me. Listen to what is said and how it resonates with you, how it resonates with you. That's my invitation for you, for all of us, is to make space for you, for yourself, to give yourself the opportunity to reflect. Life is so busy and 100 miles an hour and go, go, go and do. Now is the time to be. Become still. To become who you truly are meant to be. And why the name Choose You, Choose Bliss? I think it's a bit of a given. That's why choice is my top hashtag, one of my favourite words, because everything begins with you. And if you want to live in a world that is blissful, joyful, encouraging, loving, exciting, whatever that is for you, serene, harmonious, loving, kind, then it begins with you. And this podcast will enable you to access the tools to help you do that. You, just as nature intended, the natural you, not made up you, not facade you, not mask wearing you, but you, just as nature intended, are this world's greatest gift. And when we don't show up as ourselves, as we're meant to, free of the mask, the facade, the story, then we are depriving our loved ones and life, the world around us, from one of the most exquisite gifts possible. This work is about reframing your life, creating new thoughts, reconditioning your body for feeling good. You are a cycle breaker. I know you're a cycle breaker. You are here to break the cycle and the patterns that keep us tied up, anxious, and off-center. Break the chains, break the patterns by being the cycle breaker. It is a choice, I get it. But with a daily, consistent choice, and we will share with you what's worked for us, for you to adopt and to apply into your life. And believe it or not, 0.03% or 0.3%, forgive me, my maths was never my strong point, 0.3% each day. If we grow just that minuscule amount in 1 year, we will be 100% better than we are today. That's an invitation. We are nature. Naturally, we are divine. There is a pathway to that bliss place, and I call the one tool I would like to share with you before we leave is something I call the precious pause. You may have heard me speak about 1, 2, 3. Whenever you feel unlovely, whenever you feel challenged, whenever you feel crappy or frustrated, let's just call that unlovely. I want you to remember simply 1, 2, 3. 1, pause where you are. Just stop. Just acknowledge that it hurts. That's 1. 2 is take a breath. Taking a breath draws your attention towards your chest. I don't think it's any accident that your heart and your lungs, or our heart and our lungs, are next to each other in the same chest cavity. And by taking a breath, you are aligning yourself with your life force, because you are being breathed. You're not breathing, you are being breathed. So just stop and surrender yourself to that flow that is breathing you. And 3, feel your beating heart. Allow yourself to be present with the very power that is sustaining your existence. Precious pause whenever you feel crappy, and do this for 10 seconds. However anxious or frustrated or tired or irritated you might be, just 10 seconds, 1 breath, and then build it to 20 seconds and 30 seconds. And before you know it, this tool will rescue you whenever you feel unlovely. And the reminder today, you, just as nature intended, are this world's greatest gift. I am so grateful for you. I love you. And the invitation, as ever, is to choose you. Choose bliss. The invitation is to take a few moments to reflect on what's resonated with you here today. Let us know what you find. Share this episode with those you love to practice your vulnerability and enable deeper connection with self, others, and the world around you. May you feel blessed and loved as you live your days with purpose and presence. Thank you for being here, and thank you for choosing you. I love you.